But I can tell you this, until this day, I have never sat down with my wife, and this is 40 some odd years, and had a real discussion about my former life. Never did. I think that's critically important to protect your family. You don't want your wife to know things that if the law was to question them, they would have to lie. I don't put my wife in that position. I don't put my kids in that position. What they don't know, they can't answer to, period. They're not lying. They can pass a lie detector test. What really means something to guys is that you show your appreciation by, we go back and forth about what's the real meaning of a man, what's a man's man, what should a man be? Well, in terms of a woman, I think a man has to be, it doesn't matter, if a woman is working and she can support herself, it's still a man's job to provide for a woman. That's what I believe. Maybe it's old school to some of you, but some things don't change. I think it's a good practice, and I think if you want to attract a good woman, you treat her the way she should be treated. Emotions change at times. You have your good seasons, your seasons that are not as good. We've gone through all those struggles in our marriage. We really have. Why are we still together after 40 years with everything that's gone down? Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. Well, it's very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. As you can see, I'm not in my studio. I'm actually sitting in my hotel room in the very beautiful global city of Dubai. And wow, I've been here for a couple of days, and I have to say it's everything that everybody has told me about over the years. My first trip here, and it's a magnificent city. It's almost futuristic, I would say. And I have a lot of friends here, a lot of great opportunity, and I certainly will be returning. We had a great couple of days. And I will tell you this, everything, and I really mean everything that people have said about this place is really, really factual. It's magnificent. If it's not on your bucket list, put it on there. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. The people are wonderful, really wonderful, and it's just a place that you need to see. And for those of you that don't know, Dubai is one of the 7 Emiratis that make up the United Arab Emirati. It's one of the newer cities. Here in Abu Dhabi, I think, are the 2 newest cities, but just wonderful. A lot of opportunity, met a lot of great people, and certainly will be returning. But all week long, people have asking me, on social media, Michael, what does Valentine's Day mean for you? Well, I have to tell you, it's a great day for florists, that's for sure. It's a great day for all the people that sell candy. I think as far as florists are concerned, it might be the biggest day of the year. This Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, Easter is in the mix there somehow also. But, what does it really mean? Is a day you just go out and buy flowers, a day you buy candy, a day you give your significant other a gift? To me, it has some meaning. And if I had to substitute the word Valentine's Day or the meaning of Valentine's Day, I would say it's really your significant other, your spouse, your loved ones, appreciation day. You show them how much you appreciate them. And of course, with appreciation comes love. So it's a big day, and I think it's an important day. I don't think we should just it's Valentine's Day, it's a day for, to go out to dinner. It's an important day. So many people have asked me about my relationship with my wife. We're married 40 years now, Cammie, and they've been 40 eventful years, I would say, in many ways. We've gone through some things that other people don't go through. I'm not saying that everybody, doesn't have their ups and downs in a relationship. Of course they do. Ours at times have been a little bit more intense, with my background in the prison time and the, contracts on my life and feds coming after me, just normal stuff. But it's been an eventful 40 years, I can say that. We actually know each other 42 years. For those of you that don't know the story, I'm not going to go through it. It's all over the place. And, I believe you'll see it, on the big screen in the coming months or probably early next year. I have great memories, let's put it this way. I met my wife on a movie set. I was producing a movie back in 1983, 84. She was a dancer in that film. I saw her coming out of the pool. I was immediately attracted to her. She was in the pool at the hotel that I had all the cast and crew staying in, and immediately attracted to her. I was a lot older than her. She was 19 or 20, and I was 31, 32 at that time. So we had that age difference, but there was something about her. I just knew it was her. You get that feeling. And pursued her throughout the movie production. She didn't want to have anything to do with me for a time, but I was very persistent. And here we are 40 years later, without getting into the whole story. You know, and she's a terrific woman. She waited for me for 8 years. You know, she accepted all the baggage that I had, and I think she accepted that mainly because of the way I treated her. Not because of the advantage to her, but because of the way I treated her. From day one, I made her feel special. Imagine putting these on the table in front of your wife. She's going to look at them and say, wow. And when she opens this bottle and tastes it, believe me, she's going to love you even more. Trust me on that. Very big special that we have for Valentine's Day, and it involves our two best-selling fruit wines. We have our strawberry and we have our blackberry. Blackberry is my favorite. Strawberry is a close second. You know, we also have our pomegranate and cherry, but these two seems to be rising above all of them, even though they're all terrific, been our best sellers. Go to our website now, franzesewine.com, and you order them as a bundle. You're going to get a special price, special discount, but I would say order them now, because people, these things fly off the shelves. When we offer them direct to consumers, they fly off of our shelves. So I would really encourage you to get them now. You know, we go back and forth about what's the real meaning of a man, what's a man's man, what should a man be? Well, in terms of a woman, I think a man has to be everything. He has to be a protector, he has to be a provider, he has to be an emotional partner, he has to be everything that a woman needs in a man. And it doesn't matter, you know, if a woman is working and she can support herself, it's still a man's job to provide for a woman. That's what I believe. Maybe it's old school to some of you, but some things don't change. I think it's a good practice, and I think if you want to attract a good woman, you treat her the way she should be treated, and then she'll have appreciation for you also, you know, and you know, it's the little things. I mean, it's brought out more on Valentine's Day because that's the day you're specifically there to be with your loved one, your spouse, your significant other, and spend the day with them or whatever time you possibly can. Take them out to dinner. Just have a great time and be in love, or heavy like, or whatever you want to say, you know. Early on in a relationship, it's a chance to show her that, hey, you know, you mean something to me, or the same with him. But, you know, you really have to show your significant other, your wife, your spouse, you know, how much they mean to you and how much you appreciate them always. You know, just little things sometimes say a lot, you know. I'll give you an example. My wife never puts gas in her car. I think that's my job. I don't want her getting out of the car and having to put gas in her car. It's not chauvinistic, it's not masochistic, it's just the way I feel. It's my job. You know, that's a man's job. So even if I'm going away, before I go away, I make sure she has a full tank of gas. You know, little things like that. When we go shopping together, you know, when we get the packages and we get to the car and we have 7, 8 packages from the grocery store, and she'll start to help me, I said, get in the car. I'll load the car, don't worry. When we get home, when we get out of the car, same thing. She wants to help. She does. Go in the house. I'll take the packages in. Don't worry. It may sound silly, but it's just little things like that that I show her appreciation. You know, some things she does, she bugs me. You know, when we're walking, she's a fast walker. She always is, you know. She's into fitness and health, and she always walks fast. So she's walking ahead of me sometimes. And we're in a city like New York or Chicago, sometimes LA. I tell her, hey, slow down. You know, you don't know where we are. If somebody were to come out of the woodwork and it takes me 2 or 3 seconds to get to you. Slow down, walk next to me, walk on the inside. Little things like that to show her the value, you know, that she has to me. You know, I know it sounds silly, you know, her car door. Sometimes she'll run to the door and open it up, and I'm following her, and I say, relax, you know, I'll open the door for you. That's why I'm here. That's why I walk on your side of the car before I get to mine. So little stuff like that, you know. Sometimes she's in the kitchen, she'll cook, and she'll do the dishes, and I'll help her, I'll jump in. Nothing, you know, that's not manly about that. Listen, I can do the dishes and then go out and, you know, toss it with the best of them on the outside. So that's just silly stuff. When you're secure with yourself, things like that, they don't damage your ego, but it's just a way to show appreciation. So on Valentine's Day, I think you do that even more. You know, you have a nice dinner together. When you can, you spend the day together. Of course, everybody doesn't have that luxury. They got to work. You know, I'm going to turn 75 this year, so I can make the time to be with her on Thanksgiving and spend the entire day. I'm sorry, Thanksgiving. Well, we do that too. Valentine's Day is what I meant. See, but I have it in my head that even Thanksgiving is a special day. What do I do on Thanksgiving? You've heard this from me already. I do all the cooking and I do all the cleaning. You have the full experience with me. I cook and I clean so you can just enjoy the day, enjoy the meal. It's one of 2 days that I really do that, Thanksgiving and Christmas, Christmas Eve. But that's what Valentine's Day is all about for me. And you ladies, there's something that you can contribute to. I got to tell you this. What really means something to guys is that you show your appreciation by just acknowledging some of the things they did do for you. Not giving them an award, not patting them on the back every minute, not going out of your way to say thank you, but just a little encouragement. Hey, you know what? Good job. Something like that. Just a few little words. You don't have to go out of your way, but a few little words go a long way with guys. They want to be encouraged by their wife. They want their significant other to show something that, hey, you're doing well. I see how hard you work. I see what you do. And just show your appreciation, sometimes just with words. And there are little things too. Coming to Dubai and packing. My wife says, no, I'll do that. She knows I don't like to pack. She'll pack all my clothes for me. Great. I don't want the burden of packing, If I go on a day trip, maybe I'll do it because I throw one pair of pants and a shirt in there and I'm ready. But if we're packing for several days, she'll do that for me. Shows appreciation. It really means something to me. It's little, it's silly, but it means a lot. She'll bring me tea every night, before we go to bed. She makes the tea. In the morning, I do the coffee because I'm up early, and I'll bring it up to her. So it's little things like that you think may not mean a lot, but they really do mean a lot because they show appreciation. And for me, that's what Valentine's Day is all about. So guys, go out of your way a little bit, show her that she really means something to you and that you value the relationship. You value her contribution to the relationship, and ladies, the same thing. And again, a card, whatever. And yeah, I normally buy flowers for my wife on Valentine's Day. I'll go out really early and I'll get them. And, when she wakes up in the morning, they'll be sitting there for her. It's just, what's a big deal? I started that routine. I'll tell you, I'll never forget. We were, this is early on in the relationship. We were still in Florida during the production of the movie. And there was something, I just knew about you can tell. You just know it. She was different. Very, very physically attracted to her. Of course, that means a lot. But we were driving. I had a convertible Cadillac Eldorado at the time. It was a yellow car, I think, or white. I don't remember. I had a couple of them, so I don't remember. But anyway, we were driving in Florida, and there was a person out there with roses. And I called the guy over, and he had like a giant package or group of roses, and I bought them all. And I gave them to her, and she was like, blown away by that. I don't remember what it cost me, probably a couple of $100, but, that was kind of the first sign that she really meant something to me. Another thing that I did blew her away. Everybody can't do this, and people, I'm not bragging. I was in pretty good shape at that time. I had my own jet plane, I had a helicopter, I had a lot going on. I had houses all over the place. So, we were on the movie set, and I said, look, I want to take you to dinner tonight. And she said, where are we going? I said, a great Italian restaurant. So we're driving and we go to the airport, private airport. And she said, what are we doing here? I said, well, this is our transport to the restaurant. She said, what do you mean? I said, we're going to New York. We're going to Little Italy, and I'm going to show you a great Italian restaurant. She said, I can't do that. I have rehearsal in the morning. I'll have you back in plenty of time. It's a little over 2-hour trip to New York. So I took her to this Italian restaurant in Little Italy. Blew her away. That was the first little indication that there was something different about me. Because up to that point, she knew me as the producer of the movie, the executive producer. I didn't really get involved in the action, but I was the producer, and the word was out on the set. Everybody knew that. But she saw a lot of guys coming over to me and me going over to guys, from the life, and we showing our sign of respect. We were kissing, whatever we did at that time, on the cheek. And so when we got back in the plane that night, she said, Michael, who are those guys, that men that kept coming up to you? It was like a scene out of The Godfather, because her extent of knowledge of the mob life was the movie The Godfather. That was it. She didn't know anything else. She lived out in Anaheim, California. There's no mob out there, so she didn't know anything about it. And so that was her first little indication that something was different about me. But and she was surprised, and then that was it. It blew over. Another time that I can remember, again, just these silly little things that we did at the time. Guys coming up to me on the set and her observing things and wondering, like, who are these guys and why are they doing that? So she started to get a little bit curious about it. But I can tell you this, until this day, I have never sat down with my wife, and this is 40 some odd years, and had a real discussion about my former life. Never did. Because I think there's things there that she just doesn't need to know. She probably doesn't want to know. I know she doesn't want to know. She doesn't ask a lot of questions about it. She understood. Obviously, she knows what I was involved in. Obviously now with social media, how do you avoid it? She does all my video work. But we never really sat down and had a discussion. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I just don't. I think that's a man's world, is at least what we do in that life. Of course, we don't take it into our home. We shouldn't. My father never did. I never did, even in my first marriage. Never brought it into the house. I don't think that's appropriate. And why do that? And, even for protective reasons. You don't want your wife to know things that if the law was to question them, they would have to lie. I don't put my wife in that position. I don't put my kids in that position. What they don't know, they can't answer to, period. And they're not lying. They could pass a lie detector test. It's good stuff. It's another way that you protect your family, and I think that's critically important, to protect your family. Just a lot of little things along the way that kind of really played a big part in our relationship. Of course, I go away for 8 years. She visited me for 8 years. There was a time, I have to tell you, when the feds were really upset with me and they put me on diesel therapy, transported me to all these different prisons across the country just to break me down. I would be in the hole in Oklahoma, right? And they'd say, you have a visit. I said, a visit? Who could be here? And it was her. She would get on a plane and come and visit me. She said, I wanted to see you, just want you to know I'm here and I'm supporting you. Little things like that. Well, that was a big thing, actually, to get on a plane. We had 2 little babies at that time, and to go out of your way like that. So she has shown me, throughout our marriage, throughout our relationship, that she's there for me. Now, we've had our ups and downs, don't get me wrong. It's going to happen, especially when you have all the outside pressures that we had. Emotions change at times. You have your good seasons, your seasons that are not as good. I don't want to say bad, but not as good. And we've gone through all those struggles in our marriage. We really have. Why are we still together after 40 years with everything that's gone down? Because our foundation is in the Lord. And you can say whatever you want to say, but it's the truth. Rather than look to separate or look to say we can't deal with this, we look to figure it out. We pray, we get down, we go to church, we ask advice maybe from our pastor without getting into all detail. And our commitment is real. We try to stick it out. We try, and we've gone through some tough times. But, our love is very strong, and our foundation in God is even stronger. My wife is a very devout Christian, and I have to tell you, people, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I'd either be dead or in prison for the rest of my life. But I really believe God put her in my life to give me a different plan and a purpose, His plan and purpose in my life. And it's very evident to me. And you know the story, you know the backstory, you know everything. You've not only heard it from me, but you've heard a lot of distorted things from people on social media that really don't know what went on and don't know the truth. And people, I have no reason to lie to you. I have no reason whatsoever to lie to you. It's all in the past. I don't try to make myself look better than what I was. I wasn't perfect in any way. During that life and even after that life, people say, well, you betrayed your oath. I absolutely did. I betrayed my oath because I'm sitting here talking about it. I betrayed my oath because I don't consider myself a member of the life anymore. So in that regard, yes. Did I hurt anybody or put anybody in prison? No. Regardless of what you hear, what other people want to say, what documentation they show you, listen, I did what I did specifically not to hurt people. I knew the extent that I could go. I knew the lengths that I could go. I was a pretty observant guy. I had dealt with law enforcement on the opposite side of them my whole life. I knew their tactics. I understood everything. So I knew what I could do and get away with without hurting anybody. And that's what I did. And I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. Nobody ever went to prison because of anything that I ever said to law enforcement, and that's the God's honest truth. And when I bring God into the conversation, you know I'm telling the truth, because I don't do that. If I'm going to say something, I'm not going to bring God into it unless I know for darn sure what I'm saying is factual. So, and that's the story. You know, look, God looks for imperfect people. I'm one of them. But because I met my wife and because she's kept me balanced, you know, I've said this too, and I want to make this clear. You know, and I know I don't want to get off the subject with Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day means all of this with me, with my wife, you know. I become accountable to her not to put her in a bad situation, not to violate the law and go back to prison and put my family in a bad situation, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. You know, I'm accountable to her for that reason, you know, so it's a check and balance on my life. If I do this, because look, I still have thoughts in my mind. I'm going to be honest with you, you know, if I had the opportunity and I wasn't accountable to my wife, I might have still stole taxes from the government. I'm being honest with you, only because look at what they're doing to us. They're taking their money, enriching themselves. You know, I would have done it and been a little bit more benevolent to the public who paid their taxes, like I was in the gas business. I lowered the prices at the pump. Remember that. I lowered them. You come to my gas station, you're paying a lot less than you are somewhere else. So I don't want to get into all that. It's a side thing, but it's part of the whole Valentine's Day discourse that we're having here. But anyway, let's get back to what I'm saying. Guys, show your significant other, your wife, your spouse, your girlfriend, the person that means something to you, show them that you appreciate them today. That's what this is about. Valentine's Day, Appreciation Day, they're interchangeable terms as far as I'm concerned. Ladies, encourage your significant other also. Make them feel good. Make them know that you value them. It's important to us guys. And again, you don't have to do it every minute, but just every once in a while. As a matter of fact, you know, when you do it, make it special, because then it really means something. It really does. We want to be validated. That's it. You know, we work hard. You know, we give everything that we possibly can. We want to be validated. And for you ladies out there, I want to tell you something. For you ladies that are into, you know, all this feminist movement, I really feel bad for you. I really do. Because what probably happened, you never had a good man in your life treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. That's probably the issue. You may not want to admit it. I may get some comments back, you know, what are you saying? What do you know? I get it. It's social media. I understand all of that. But I really mean it. I really believe that every woman out there, if she got a guy that really showed her how much he values and appreciates her, I think for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, women would want that. You know, because when a man acts like a man, it's not demeaning to women. It's a benefit to women. It's a build-up for women. It's showing them, hey, you're special. You're important. You're better than me. You know, guys can be, forget it. We could be off at time, but you're better than me. My wife is on a pedestal with me. She knows that. I value her. She's a better person than I am in many respects. You know, her core values, because she doesn't have that past. I do. So even though it's not me today, it was me. I was capable of doing those things. She's not capable of doing something like that. So I have something in me that she can never have to her benefit. So she is a better person than I am in that regard. Now, yeah, I've cleaned up my act, but I have a past. She doesn't have one. So I think you understand where I'm going. You know, I have to tell you again about this wonderful city. I am so impressed. It's a futuristic city. The architecture here with the buildings are amazing. It's on the Persian Gulf. This is my second visit to the Middle East. Of course, I've been in Israel a number of times. But man, it's outstanding. And the next time I come, I'm going to be visiting Abu Dhabi. And I have to tell you, you know, we have sometimes the wrong impression of the Middle East. Now, we know this is a place where, unfortunately, in Iran and places like that, we hear some negative things, and it's understandable. The government there is not a government to be admired. They're oppressive on the people, and we don't like that. And by the way, you know, I've been praying for the people in Iran. And I really hope that President Trump does something, because it's not fair, okay, that we that are blessed stand by and watch people get persecuted for no reason because of terrible, rulers, terrible leadership. Dubai, just the opposite. The leadership here are wonderful. They want you to earn. They want you to have happiness. They build this place for people to come and enjoy it. It's amazing, and for me, it was historical being on the Persian Gulf. I've heard so much about the Persian Gulf, but to be here and just think of the history here, amazing. So let's hope that we can get Iran to have the same type of leadership that the UAE has. I hope it gets to that point. And for those of you that may have and please don't take this the wrong way, sometimes I say something that's taken the wrong way in the comments, that have stigma about Islam and Muslims and the Arab people. No, those are extremists. Those are not the people that are practicing the Muslim faith, the Islamic faith properly. These people are wonderful, wonderful. I have to tell you that. There are a lot of churches here in Dubai. They want you to have religious freedom to practice. So we have this thing because we hear so much negativity. The other thing, there's no crime in this city. None. Do you know here, I'm fascinated. If you get arrested, do you know that, or if you get in trouble rather, and you have to be arrested, they text you. And if you don't come within 3 days, they come and get you. You got to abide by the rules here. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. There's no crime. You don't see a lot of police. You could leave your bag or money on the table, walk away, and come back 2 hours later. It's still there. I have a guy here, a friend of mine that I know, he's been here 30 years. He said, Michael, I don't have the keys to my house. I never lock the door. That's admirable. Let me tell you this. So I'm not becoming a cheerleader for the UAE. I have nothing to gain other than to tell the truth. And I value relationships, and I've made some nice relationships here, and I talk the truth, and I will be returning. So if you have any kind of idea of negativity about the UAE, get rid of it. Just come here and you'll understand what I'm saying. I want to end it. I don't want to be too redundant, but I just want all you guys out there, show your appreciation, not only on Valentine's Day. On Valentine's Day, it's just more pronounced. It's out there, it's bigger, it's your day. It's the day you're supposed to do it, so do it. Ladies, give your significant other some encouragement today. Right? Show them you appreciate them also. It's important, it goes both ways. Look, we're human, we have emotions. We want that at times. And it's not a question of being insecure. It's a question of just, you need to see that, you have value to your significant other. And especially in a marriage, that's so important. It really is. Value that you place on one another is so important. And again, without being redundant, it could be those little things. So I have a plan for Valentine's Day, and it's a good one. And normally, if we're not away, she'll normally make the dinner. I don't like making dinner reservations. Unless I have a friend, I call them up, hey, it's a tough place to get in. Then I'll do that. But if not, she does it all. My daughter too, they take care of all the arrangements when we go to dinner. I'm really flexible when it comes to things like that. As long as the food is good, I'm good. And we have the blessing of eating, in nice restaurants where the food is good and the atmosphere is nice. And we'll do that on Valentine's Day. And that's it, people. So I'm going to end it with that. Guys, do the right thing today. Ladies, reciprocate. It's a good day for that. I want to say happy Valentine's Day to all of you out there, all of you wonderful ladies. Valentine's Day is a good day for you. Guys, like I said, do the right thing. And to my beautiful, wonderful, lovely, precious, amazing wife, I love you more than anything. How did I always sign my prison letters to you? Forever and ever and always. And I mean that, my love. Happy Valentine's Day.